afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for joining us today. My name is Murad Ouad, and I'm the Executive Director of the New York Immigration Coalition. As you know, every year around this time, you find us on the same steps every year, fighting for our communities. That's because we need to continuously remind our city government of the contributions and the needs of our community. We built this city. Our labor resulted in the iconic bridges not far from here that connect Manhattan to Brooklyn. Our food from street vendors and restaurants feed our New Yorkers. Our families continuously are doing the work that many folks do not want to do. Our taxi drivers and gig drivers are transporting our community members. New York runs on the fuel of immigrant labor. It runs on our energy, creativity, and entrepreneurship. But after more than 2 years of a pandemic and growing inflation, our immigrant communities and families continue to struggle. The city must support programs and community-based organizations with proven engagement methodology that can successfully close the gaps in education, provide access to essential services, all while improving our local democracy and the lives of immigrant New Yorkers. A budget for the people of New York City must include all of us.
Yes.
That's right. Now, I'd like to introduce someone whose own personal story says so much about the strength and resilience of immigrant New Yorkers. Join me in welcoming the chair of the Immigration Committee, Councilman Shahana Hanif.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm Councilmember Shahana Hanif. I'm the chair of the Immigration Committee, and I'm here to say that we will win a budget for immigrants. We will win a budget that advances our democracy for immigrants. So, what's on our agenda? Earlier this week, we rallied to protect our city, our vote. To protect our city, our vote from our opponents who want voting rights restricted for immigrant communities in New York City. What a damn shame! Shame! We will not let that happen in our city, and we call on this administration to fully fund our city, our votes implementation to make sure that we've got adequate voter outreach, voter registration, and GOTV implementation. We need these dollars to go to these organizations to do the work to reach every single eligible new voter. For the people. Next, I stand with you in the call to renew immigrant legal service funding. We have got to make sure that every immigrant neighbor in this city is guaranteed protections, because we still live in a country with anti-immigrant sentiment and policies. And when I say every immigrant, I mean every single immigrant. We have got to eliminate the racist criminal carve-out. We know that we cannot meet every single immigrant without adequate, equitable language access. For years now, we have been saying what we want is language justice. Language justice empowers our communities to do the work and get paid. We want a community interpreter bank for legal services. We want worker cooperatives, worker-owned cooperatives taxes. The money is there. There is no reason why we are outsourcing to companies outside of New York City with people who don't speak our languages to do this work for us.
That's right.
It's a couple $1 million. We can get this done. And I want to wrap up by saying the state excluded our undocumented families from child care. They're saying that they passed universal child care. They did not do that. They did not do that at all. And so the New York Care for All campaign, led by myself, Councilmember Tiffany Caban, and Comptroller Lander, and so many of our colleagues, calls on this city to dedicate $10 million for undocumented families. And some have argued that that is too much money. Child care is so damn costly in this city. Every single child should be guaranteed child care access. Sorry, y'all. And now, as we reopen our city, we cannot forget domestic workers, delivery workers, young people who are still excluded from SYEP, queer, trans, black immigrants. What I've just described is some of our budget fights, but we know that immigrants are a part of every single city life, every single part of this city. And so when we talk about expanding sanitation services, that is an immigrant rights issue. When we talk about putting in dollars to open spaces and making sure that we've got open streets in our neighborhoods, that is an immigrant rights issue. When we are talking about healthcare and community clinics, that is an immigrant rights issue as we do the work to protect abortions in this city. Every single issue is an immigrant rights issue. And so let's keep this fight going, and let's win for every single immigrant in New York City.
One, we are the people. Two, a little bit louder. Three, we want justice for all immigrants. One, we are the people. Two, a little bit louder. Three, we want justice for all immigrants.
Thank you. Let's give it up for our Councilwoman Shahana Hanif. And next, join me in welcoming Councilmember Sandy Nurse, a community organizer and a third-generation Panamanian who has been working to build community power long before she came into office. Welcome.
We're hot. My name is Councilmember Sandy Nurse, and I'm so proud to stand here with the New York Immigration Coalition. I'm a third-generation Panamanian. I'm the daughter of an undocumented immigrant, and so it is an honor. I'm honoring my father's family by standing here with you all. You know, to me, what we're asking for is very little. It's almost $100 billion budget, and what we're asking for our immigrant communities is very, very little. It's to protect workers. It's access to education and healthcare and childcare, essential social services that everybody needs to make it through every day in this city. In particular, the $25 million that is needed to fund and implement Our City, Our Vote is so important. It's so important. We are getting down to the wire, and we cannot have a sloppy rollout of this. We need the money for outreach and education. If we do not fund this piece of paper, this bill, what we are saying to immigrant New Yorkers is that we rely on your labor, but we don't want to hear your voice. That's right. What we are saying is that it's not just a city of immigrants, it's a city of exploited immigrant workers. And it's unacceptable. So I'm here with my colleagues and all of you standing and urging this administration to invest in the people who are running this city. This is the backbone of this city. We're tired of asking. It's what is deserved after 2 years of this hell. And I urge them to fund every last penny of this demand. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilwoman Nurse. Next up, join me in welcoming the chair of the GovOps Committee, someone who has been a lifelong advocate for our communities inside and outside of government. Join me in welcoming Councilwoman Ung.
Good morning. I'm City Council Member Sandra Oh, representing District 20. I'm an immigrant, and I represent a district that is largely home to a lot of immigrants, and they come to Flushing because they see a better life for themselves in the District 20. And they, like many others who live, work, and raise their families in our city, contribute billions of dollars in taxes each year, but they don't have a voice when it comes to the direction of their own communities. Last year, the City Council decided to change that and pass a law. Our city outvote, giving them the right to vote in municipal elections. And in January, the mayor signed this into law. So it is law. It is law that we have not been funded, that has not been allocated in the budget. And it doesn't affect state or federal elections. It gives us 1 million New Yorkers who work and live here a right to say how the legal government should work for them. And they should have a voice in electing their local government leaders.
That's right.
And now a group of people want to overturn the will of New York City Council and the mayor. And while we don't have the legal decision yet, we cannot wait for this decision to implement this law. It is vital that the implementation of this law continues.
That's right.
And that's why I and nearly 20 members of City Council colleagues signed for a letter that calling for a new budget to fully fund this outreach process. We all know how hard this outreach process will be to our immigrants. And we need to fund it right now, and we need to start implementing this right now because we have to make sure this implementation is a success. Thank you so much.
Let's give it up for Councilmember Ung and welcome to the mic, no stranger to our communities, Councilwoman De La Rosa, who's been a progressive champion for immigrants, not just in the city. Councilwoman De La Rosa.
Thank you, Murad. I first want to uplift our chair, who's doing an amazing job in making sure that these issues come to the forefront. Let's give her a all of the advocates here who have their mileage covered from New York City to Albany. This coalition, these same faces that are here, have been working to make sure that we end generations of exclusion. Our communities have been excluded for far too long. Excluded from healthcare services after a pandemic that has taken the lives of essential workers, and we're over here fighting over $2 million for access health?
That ain't right.
That ain't right. That's ridiculous, right? After 2 years of a pandemic, and we know that our communities need access to legal services, and here we are again in this dance, asking for legal services for immigrant communities to be funded in this budget. Well, I know I was elected to a new city council, and I know that the new city council is made up of immigrant men and women, immigrant people who know that the contributions of immigrants far outweigh the benefits they receive from this city. Right. We want to have a truly sanctuary city. It's not just a word, but an investment in our community. These issues are intersectional. What does it mean to not have legal services for immigrants? It means that those same workers who have had to go in the shadows and find work and are in the crosshairs of the legal justice system are only days away from being deported, families broken up. It's not enough for us to say that New York City is a beacon of progressive politics and policy without investing in our communities and in people and in children. When we say that we want immigrant children included in childcare, that shouldn't be the fight right now. They should be asking, how much do you need? That's right. How much do you need? Because when our children walk into schools, they don't ask them at the door, hey, so are you documented, undocumented, or other? Access to education for all children is a right. And so we are here asking for this administration to finally listen to the voices of the people that have built this city and funds and invest in our immigrant communities. I will always be an ally. I will always fight because their stories are my stories. I'm an immigrant from the Dominican Republic. I came to this country undocumented, and I know what it's like to have to fight for every single thing that you need in life. And so let's make sure that our city invests in our people. Let's make sure that immigrant people are acknowledged and their contributions are acknowledged in the form of investment. Because words are empty without investment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman De La Rosa, and join me in welcoming Councilwoman Alexa Aviles from Sunset Park.
¿Cómo están, mi gente? Mira, lo que estamos pidiendo es dignidad. Tenemos una comunidad inmigrante de más de millones de gente en nuestra ciudad que están luchando, trabajando, pagando sus taxes, involucrados en el gobierno, haciendo los cambios diariamente y no queremos su voz. Esto es un tema de democracia. So we are trying here. We need the funding to expand democracy. These are immigrant workers who are paying taxes, who are involved in our civil and civic infrastructure, who are helping our communities thrive, that are building economic development across the city and the state, and we want their full voice and involvement. So this demand for $25 million is for the full implementation, the appropriate, dignified implementation that we need for a law that we fought so hard for. So unfunded mandates are nonsense. We need full funding and implementation. We need to make sure, as Councilmember Carmen De La Rosa said, that we are asking our residents, what do you need to thrive? What do you need to make sure that you continue to make this city the greatest city in the world? And if we are not asking that question, we are asking the wrong questions. Thank you.
When immigrant rights are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When immigrant families are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
What do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
What do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
Let's give it up to Councilwoman Aviles as she's jetting. And let's join together in welcoming Councilmember Sean Abreu, someone who has been side by side with us on the fight for municipal voting even before he became a council member. So let's give him a warm welcome to the mic.
When immigrant families are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
What do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
Friends, when we fought for our city, our vote, we know that the work didn't stop there. 1 in 5 New Yorkers came out to vote last year. A lot of folks take that right to vote for granted. But we know that with the increased power to participate in our democracy with our city, our vote, we have the opportunity to give voices to folks who haven't been heard for so long. And that's why I'm here to join you today. We know that government decisions impact citizens or residents just alike. It impacts our schools, whether you are a student of Citizens or a student of a permanent resident. It impacts us all the same. And like my colleague Aviles said, an unfunded mandate, it just makes no sense. It makes no sense. And so I'm here to stand for the $25 million that we need for NYIC to make sure that the implementation of our city, our vote is communicated to everybody so everybody recognizes that right to vote. So everybody know that they can go to the ballot box for the first time. And that's why we're here. Le quiero dar las gracias a todos ustedes por estar presente hoy. Cuando pasamos el derecho de un residente permanente a votar el año pasado, sabíamos que eso fue el principio. Teníamos que hacer más trabajo. Por eso que le estoy sugiriendo al alcalde y la administración que investa por lo menos $25 millones para informar y educar nuestras comunidades sobre el derecho de votar por su primera vez. Muchísimas gracias.
Let's give it up to Councilmember Abreu. Next up, join me in welcoming Andres Garcia to speak, the co-executive director of El Centro del Inmigrante.
Good afternoon, mi gente! I am here before you because I am tired. I am tired of the fundamental lack of support being offered to my community of immigrant workers at the Staten Island Immigrant Center, a community job center on Staten Island. I am tired of working tirelessly as the director of an organization that provides services to my community and coming back with scraps of funding for the issues we most direly need addressed. I am tired of grappling with the reality that this scarcity of legal services and resources is intentional, a purposeful effort to keep the most marginalized of our community as exploitable as the law will allow, to keep us fighting for scraps while our communities are pillaged to satisfy bottom lines. Our work is essential. Our work keeps people housed. It keeps people fed. It keeps people alive. And we must fight the notion that we are not entitled to a life of dignity. I cannot stand adding any more people to a wait list of hundreds waiting for legal services that they need today. I work every day to make sure we meet our neighbors' legal needs as well as their other needs, but I need the city to hear this not as a request, but a demand for action. This is not sustainable, and we are suffering. Thank you.
Let's give it up to our brother Andres. Next up, join me in welcoming Maria Ariza, the program coordinator of health services from the South Asian Council of Social Services.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maria Ariza, program coordinator at South Asian Council Social Services, or SACS. We thank all the partners who came out here today to talk about one of the most important initiatives, Access Health NYC. At SACS, we focus on the three major areas: healthcare access, senior support services, and food security. Majority of the clients we assist not only lack access to comprehensive healthcare services, but are also unaware of the services that they can get. Their limited English only creates more barriers for them. There exists a lot of fear and misinformation around healthcare services, which often leads community members in making decisions such as terminating their benefits out of fear. More recently, we heard from many community members that they were hesitant to get COVID testing or the vaccine because a friend or someone told them that it will impact their immigration status. Rumors such as your personal information will be sent to ICE, or you are using free government service, you will not get your green card. These are just some of the stories that our Access Health Care is telling us when they go on the field. Access Health NYC is one of the key initiatives of the City Council. This initiative has enabled our staff to advocate for our clients and help them understand and navigate the healthcare systems. At SACS, we speak 19 different languages: 12 South Asian, Mandarin, Spanish, Cantonese, and French. As part of the Access Health initiative, we will continue to educate and connect New Yorkers with essential health-related services. We will request the esteemed City Council to increase the funding year 2023 for the 4 million. Todos merecemos tener acceso a un servicio de salud, no importa nuestro estatus migratorio. Por eso solicitamos a la Asamblea para aumentar en este año 2023 la iniciativa de acceso a la salud a 4 millones. Muchas gracias.
Next up, join me in welcoming our sister Araceli Lucero, the executive director of MASA.
Hello, my the executive director of MASA, an organization focused on strengthening literacy, leadership, and power for Mexican, Central American, and indigenous people in the South Bronx. This year, New York City must address a long-standing injustice that was deeply exacerbated during the pandemic, and that is quality public school programs are inaccessible for thousands of immigrant youth and families. During the pandemic, many immigrant students were feeling especially lost and isolated. And sadly, far too many immigrants weren't even able to enroll, let alone find quality programs. The city must address this through two proven initiatives. First, we request a $2.1 million initial investment for a transfer school pilot program to increase access for newly arrived high school age immigrants. Older, newcomer immigrant youth have little time to learn English and fulfill graduation requirements before they age out. But instead of finding supportive schools, there are nearly 4,000 newcomer high school age immigrant youth who are not enrolled in school, and they do not have a high school diploma. The vast majority of these youth are between the ages of 16 and 21 years old, which is the toughest age range to find an adequate placement. For over 4 years, MASA has been working with the New York Immigration Coalition's Education Collaborative to try to address this issue. Together, we designed a proposal that will finally create quality programs for them and drastically improve the embarrassing English language learner dropout rate. Transfer schools are essential because they specialize in supporting youth at risk of dropping out and helping older, under-accredited students succeed. But unfortunately, while there are transfer schools in every 4 out of 5 English language 4 out of 5 boroughs, the English language transfer schools currently existing are in Manhattan. Therefore, the pilot will target our other boroughs where most immigrant youth live and struggle to find programs that meet their needs. And the great thing about this pilot is that it will test a model that schools can follow to better serve newcomer immigrant youth. Second, the city should invest $4 million to expand our LIFE project. The majority of the 165,000 parents of 0 to 4-year-olds who are limited English proficient in New York City also lack access to computer or internet. These families need robust, community-based engagement and support to learn about and enroll in 3K and pre-K programs. We know this because for the last 5 years, we have worked with the New York Immigration Coalition's LIFE project to successfully help over 400 immigrant families enroll in pre-K and 3K by providing outreach, counseling, and referral services to eligible families. The LIFE project's success has been demonstrated by the fact that despite a drop in city enrollment during the pandemic, we saw no drop in enrollment within the families that we assisted. More importantly, 4 out of the 5 families that the LIFE project has worked with said that they could not have applied and enrolled without our help. So we are here asking for $4 million for 20 CBOs across the city to provide culturally responsive and linguistically diverse outreach, application, and enrollment support, referral services, and early intervention support to immigrant families of 3 and 4-year-olds. Our immigrant kids deserve to be served. That means our indigenous youth, our kids with disabilities, our older newcomer immigrants, even if they have major gaps in their learning. All our kids deserve a high-quality public education, regardless of their background or immigration status. It is morally unacceptable that our system is not yet equipped to serve our families. It is up to us to fix it, and we cannot wait. Sí se puede.
Sí se puede. Sí se puede. Sí se puede. Sí se puede.
Solamente quiero decir unas palabras bien rápido en español. Soy la directora de MASA, una organización sin fines de lucro. Estamos aquí pidiendo 2 cosas. Una es un piloto para apoyar a niños o adolescentes que vienen a una edad más avanzada a tener un espacio aquí en esta ciudad. La segunda cosa es expandir un programa que estamos trabajando que se llama LIFE Project para poder apoyar a padres inmigrantes poder inscribir a sus niños en la escuela, ya que ellos tienen poco acceso al internet o saben navegar la tecnología, entonces estamos aquí pidiendo esas dos cosas. Muchas gracias.
Let's give it up for our Arceles. Next up, join me in welcoming our co-lead on the Our City, Our Vote coalition, someone who has been at the forefront assisting and making sure the campaign was a success, and now in its implementation, helping rage the fight to ensure that we get the resources needed to make it a success. Join me in welcoming Lena Cohen, a senior policy analyst at the United Neighborhood Houses.
Thank you and hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name's Lena Cohen. I'm here today speaking on behalf of United Neighborhood Houses, where we believe literacy is justice because education is a right. Right. Woo! Yet in New York City, there's over 2.2 million adults that lack English literacy, and only 3% of those adults can actually get into city-funded classes. That's not right.
That ain't right.
It's been that way for years. Today, we are just so excited to build on the progress that the city made last year in creating the first of its kind pilot project to see what happens when you invest actual resources in these programs. What are students able to achieve? And just within the last year, only 6 months, we've seen programs expand the type of technology they have, the types of connections they're building for their students beyond just speaking English. It's actually about connecting to civic life and social connections and responsibilities that all of us share as New Yorkers. And so it is just critical for the city to actually invest in these programs that have been at the forefront of what New York City does, but just has been left behind. And by leaving behind adult literacy, we're leaving behind those 2.2 million New Yorkers, again, that just aren't able to advance in their lives because they're lacking just basic literacy. So let's fill that gap and let's not leave anyone behind, because genuinely, if this city needs to move, if this city moves forward well, then we need to do so with all of our neighbors. So we're calling on the city to invest $27 million total in this adult literacy education program, as well as double the pilot so that we can see what happens when all programs can get the resources they need. So that's what we're calling on the city to do, because again, we're not leaving anyone behind here, and we're gonna fight until that doesn't happen.
Oh yeah.
So thanks.
Next up, join me in welcoming the amazing Barbara Lopez, a member of Mixteca, who will be speaking in Spanish and have translation.
Buenas tardes a todos. Gracias por estar aquí.
Thank you so much for everyone for being here.
Soy Bárbara López y soy integrante de diferentes organizaciones. NICE de Jornaleros de la Construcción.
My name is Barbara Lopez, and I'm here representing multiple organizations, including NICE.
Alianza Nacional
Díganos.
de Alianza Nacional Trabajadoras de Casa, Nanis y personas cuidando personas mayores. Y de Mixteca soy promotora y de VIP, Organización contra la Violencia Doméstica.
She's representing Mixteca, she's representing farmers, she's representing workers, and she's also representing childcare.
Nosotras somos emigrantes. Dejamos nuestra tierra por un sueño.
We are immigrants. We left our homeland for a dream.
Este sueño lo pagamos con nuestra sangre.
This dream we pay for with our blood.
Nuestra sangre lucha por sus ideales. Nosotros no podemos volver atrás.
Our blood fights for our ideals, and we cannot go back.
Nuestra vida está aquí.
Our life is here.
Trabajamos aquí.
We work here.
Somos de primera línea, todo aquí.
We're the first responders, always here.
Todo se queda.
Everything stays.
Merecemos respeto.
We deserve to be respected.
Ustedes pueden hacerlo.
You can do it.
¿Cómo?
How?
Invirtiendo para mejorar nuestras comunidades.
Make the investments to improve our communities.
Lo que hacemos es para que ustedes vivan bien.
What we do is so that you can live well.
Nuestra comunidad nos necesita.
Our community needs us.
¿Cómo hacerlo? Participando con el voto.
How do we do that? By participating with our vote.
El voto es la diferencia.
The vote is what's going to make the difference.
Nos conviene a todos.
It is convenient for all of us. We all need it.
Los representantes de esta ciudad
The representatives of this city
deben representar a todos nosotros los emigrantes.
should also represent all of us, all immigrants.
Una forma de hacerlo
One way to do that
es en nuestro voto.
is by giving us our vote.
Inviertan en nuestros votos. A los representantes les importa y nosotros merecemos respeto.
Invest in our vote. We deserve respect, and we deserve their respect and representation too.
Gracias.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Barbara, and thank you, Andrea, for translating. Thank you to all of our speakers. Thank you to the elected officials who joined us. It's clear that New York City must prioritize and invest in immigrant New Yorkers. Now more than ever, this investment is critical. We need $25 million to fully implement our city, our vote. We need $6.1 million to ensure the educational success of immigrant students and youth. We need $4 million for access to comprehensive health care for low-income immigrant New Yorkers. We need the reinvestment of $58 million for legal services to keep New York families together. And last but not least, we must invest $2 million to continue the extremely successful work of Key to the City, which for the past 10 years has been a hub, a survival hub that has allowed immigrant New Yorkers access to thrive in this city. Immigrants are the heartbeat of this city, and history has proven just how much New York City depends on us economically, socially, and culturally. Now it's time for the city to show up for us. And it's hot out here. We've all been sweating.
That's right.
But we're gonna keep raising the heat on the city council and the mayor to make sure that these critical investments are made so that immigrant New Yorkers continue to be a part of the fabric of this city and the mosaic that makes New York City so beautiful. Thank you.